Discretion advised. Cameraman ended up blushing when this happened. Linda Carter's Wonder Woman wore 6 different costumes. Gain a deeper understanding of your favorite films and TV shows by delving into their untold stories. What motivated Mary Tyler Moore to don that silly wig for a new show? Or who were those Hanson brothers in Slapshot? Uncovering such mysteries will help you appreciate these classics even more, leaving lasting impressions on you for years. When we observe a movie or series, our curiosity gets the better of us, and it's then that we seek to uncover their hidden narratives. What was Barbara Eden's bottle before she moved into Genie? Why did George Harrison make an appearance in Monty Python? And what does Michael Myers' mask symbolize? Could it be inspired by something from Star Trek? A mere minute of investigation can reveal facts and stories which might astound you, enhancing your appreciation for any film or show. We can all recollect the iconic ensemble Linda Carter donned as Wonder Woman, that one-of-a-kind star-spangled shorts and golden eagle bustier. Yet on her TV show, which ran from 1975 to 1979, she actually wore various other costumes based on every occasion. The array of clothing choices to outfit the strong-willed heroine in her mission are vast. She sports a white athletic ensemble for the series premiere, dons Western attire from Bushwhackers, wears a multifunctional full blue spandex bodysuit, and rocks both the formal skirt with red, white, and blue cape, as well as an additional Paradise Island look. Let's face it, a girl needs options. Jane Fonda was drunk when she filmed Barbarella's opening striptease. Jane Fonda's iconic opening scene in the 1968 space farce Barbarella, where she slowly wriggles out of her spacesuit in zero gravity with nerves and modesty, is now infamous. She confessed that, "I drank a lot of vodka before shooting the sequence on Good Morning America. Feeling intoxicated from the alcohol and moving to music made for an unforgettable moment." Cool Hand Luke's car wash girl just said no to marijuana. In one of the most iconic moments from Cool Hand Luke, a young actress named Joy Harmon vigorously washes her 1941 DeSoto. Before she began filming an intimate scene with Paul Newman, producers suggested that smoking marijuana would help her to relax and get into character. Unwilling to succumb to their persuasion techniques, Harmon prepared herself for quitting when director Stuart Rosenberg intervened and reassured her that she didn't need drugs in order to deliver a compelling performance. There were no Playboy bunnies in World War II, but there were on the Dirty Dozen set. Jim Brown, the NFL star, and Clint Walker of Cheyenne fame were employed as backup in the Dirty Dozen cast. As filming for this movie was underway in England during 1966 summer season, Dolly Reed, a British Playboy playmate who went on to perform in Beyond the Valley of the Dolls, dropped by for some promotional shots. The Love Boat was filmed on actual cruise ships, and the extras were paying passengers. As the captain, Meryl Steubing piloted the iconic Pacific Princess for its on-screen adventures. While a majority of scenes were filmed in California studios, there were particular shots that needed to be captured out at sea. To ensure authenticity and realism within these moments, they sailed aboard the ship itself while taking paying passengers along as extras. TV Batman Adam West had a super sex life. So did Robin. TV Batman Adam West, known for his heroic character on the small screen, reportedly slept with up to 8 women a night and even had quickies in between shooting scenes while donning their legendary superhero costumes. His co-star, Burt Ward, who played Robin, also received attention from groupies as they both enjoyed their extracurricular activities outside of work. What's hotter than Slave Leia? How about 2 Slave Leias? Male fans of Star Wars were always captivated by Carrie Fisher's iconic Slave Leia costume. When images surfaced of not 1 but 2 Slave Leias sunbathing together, they could barely contain their excitement. But fear not, that wasn't an identical clone army. It was actually Fisher and her stunt double and friend, Tracy Edden. Felix Silla, who played Cousin It in The Addams Family, was also Twiki in Battlestar Galactica. Felix Silla earned his place in TV history by playing Cousin It on The Addams Family. But as luck would have it, 1978 proved to be even more lucrative for him. He simultaneously secured roles as both Lucifer in Battlestar Galactica and Twiki on the spin-off show Buck Rogers in the 25th Century. Shirley Eaton was painted gold in Goldfinger and lived. It's time to dispel the myth surrounding Shirley Eaton's performance as Jill Masterson in Goldfinger. While her character is discovered lifeless by Sean Connery, there was a popular urban legend that stated Eaton herself died of suffocation due to the gold paint. This simply isn't true. She made it through filming unscathed and continued acting for many years afterwards. Mary Tyler Moore was Elvis Presley's leading lady in the King's final film. In 1969, Elvis Presley starred in the now infamous film Change of Habit alongside Mary Tyler Moore, one of his most revered leading ladies, with perhaps only Anne Margaret as competition. Prior to this role, Moore was already renowned for her portrayal of Laura Petrie on The Dick Van Dyke Show. Nevertheless, it would be her next project that catapulted her into true stardom, when the Mary Tyler Moore Show premiered later that same year and achieved instant success. Adrienne Barbeau's Escape from New York death scene was filmed in John Carpenter's garage. In Escape from New York, Adrienne Barbeau's character Maggie is tragically run over by the antagonist Cadillac. Yet when director John Carpenter watched the nearly finished movie, he had second thoughts. Would audiences understand the point? He needed one more scene to make it crystal clear, and so he got his wife, Barbeau, and headed to his garage. Within minutes, they were filming an extra shot of her deceased character beneath his very own car. Practical solution for a powerful cinematic effect. Apocalypse Now featured real Playmates, including Linda Carter. From the iconic Susie Q scene in Apocalypse Now, viewers can easily recognize 2 out of 3 girls as Playboy Playmates. But if you look closely enough, there's even a centerfold featuring Linda Carter with a staple piercing her belly button. It's hard to forget such an eye-catching moment after watching Apocalypse Now. Years after the Partridge Family ended, Susan Day and David Cassidy had a regrettable one-night stand. Susan Day and David Cassidy portrayed siblings on the Partridge Family, but unbeknownst to him, Susan had romantic feelings for her co-star. Unfortunately for her, David was quite callous towards these emotions of hers through dating numerous groupies and flaunting his new love interests in front of a heartbroken Susan. Nevertheless, after many years, they finally got together one night, only to regret it afterwards. Mr. Rogers got your Tallman right here. In typical Mr. Rogers fashion, he stunned the entire nation of children when he sang "Where is Thumpkin?" with a flipped-off finger in plain sight. But as it turns out, there's internet evidence that Fred was more than aware of what exactly this gesture meant. An infamous behind-the-scenes clip has gone viral, showing him making the motion while laughing and staring directly into our eyes. Charlie's Angels anchored ABC's Jiggle TV lineup. In the mid and late 70s, ABC Network's hit series featured physical talent such as Suzanne Summers, Linda Carter, Farrah Fawcett, Kate Jackson, and Jacqueline Smith. In shows like Three's Company, Wonder Woman, or Charlie's Angels earned outstanding ratings. Although Paul Klein of NBC disparaged this phenomenon as jiggle television, its success was undeniable. Chevy Chase was tricked out of being in Animal House. When Universal Pictures wanted to get Chevy Chase for their cast in Animal House, John Landis pulled out a dominating move. He said, "Listen up, Chevy. Our film is all about ensemble and collaboration like you would find on Saturday Night Live. It's where you belong. It's unlike being the lead of Foul Play with Goldie Hawn. Here we have some seriously talented comedians that could use someone as funny as yourself." Little did Landis know how this persuasive statement was exactly what Chase didn't want at that moment. He had already committed himself to playing in Foul Play alongside Hawn instead of Animal House. Mae West tormented Raquel Welch and Farrah Fawcett on the set of Myra Breckinridge. Retirement was not enough to keep the legendary Mae West away from the limelight, and her appearance in Myra Breckinridge marked a major flop in 1970. Right when production began, she brazenly declared that only she would be allowed to wear black or white, meaning all of Raquel Welch's costumes had to be entirely remade. Furthermore, West constantly found fault with Farrah Fawcett's hair color and forced her to dye it 3 times until it satisfied West's approval. It's clear that fame has given this renowned sex symbol an ability for diva-style demands. Suzanne Somers thought she was the star of Three's Company. ABC begged to differ. Who was the real star of Three's Company, Suzanne Somers or John Ritter? That may be a hard question to answer. However, it's worth noting that Ritter was earning more money than her in their tenure together on the show. After 4 seasons with ABC and only making $30,000 per episode, even though she'd become a household name, Somers demanded an increase, up to $150,000 per episode, which ultimately led to her character being cut down from 60 seconds an episode until finally getting fired at the end of season 4. Lou Ferrigno's Incredible Hulk wig was made of yak hair. To become the beloved green superhero, Lou Ferrigno had to undergo an impressive transformation. Prosthetics were used for his face, and a yak hair wig was placed on his head to achieve the Hulk's signature look. To complete the iconic character, green grease paint was applied liberally all over Ferrigno's body to give him the perfect Hulk hue. The Gopher was a controversial last-minute addition to Caddyshack. When Harold Ramis was attempting to compile the snippets of Caddyshack into a cohesive movie, he noticed its narrative seemed incomplete. The solution? He elongated and supplemented Carl Spackler's fight against the Gopher to create an extended conflict with a grand finale. The Oompa Loompas were originally African pygmies. Roald Dahl's 1964 edition of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory depicted the Oompa Loompas as a tribe of 3,000 African pygmies from an untouched part of the jungle. However, they are today remembered for their whimsical orange-skinned characters in recent adaptations. According to his biographer, this drastic change was due to Roald Dahl himself ultimately deciding that black pygmies would not be suitable for children's literature. That's not Britt Eglins' bum you see in The Wicker Man. In The Wicker Man, Britt Eglin was famously featured in a song and dance scene, Sans Clothing. However, she declined to expose her backside. Unbeknownst to the star herself, filmmakers decided on using a local Glasgow stripper instead of Eglin's bottom half, something that didn't sit well with the actress when found out. That woman had an ass much bigger than mine. It was completely outrageous. Yvonne Craig did her own fight scenes on Batman, unlike Adam West and Burt Ward. Yvonne Craig, the actress who played both Barbara Gordon and Batgirl on Batman, had a passion for ballet, which she cultivated since the age of 10. Even more impressive is her determination to choreograph her own fight scenes without any stunt doubles, something that Adam West and Burt Ward didn't do during their time on the show. It's no surprise why Yvonne Craig was able to so effectively capture both characters' roles with incredible accuracy. Sally Field was actually the 5th Gidget. While Sally Field may be recognized as the traditional Gidget, she's not the first nor the last actress to portray her. In 3 films alone, Sandra Dee in 1959, Deborah Wally in 1961, and Cindy Carroll in 1963 brought this iconic actor to life on screen. Of course, you can't forget Kathy Conner Zuckerman, the actual inspiration behind Gidget, whose nickname Gidget is a combination of girl and midget, has become synonymous with youthful rebellion around the world. Last, but certainly not least, Sally Field's portrayal of Gidget in 1965 cemented her place in pop culture history ever since. Peter Sellers shot Jacqueline Bisset on the set of Casino Royale. Jacqueline Bisset remembers the terror she felt when Peter Sellers unexpectedly shot her with a gun in their first scene together for Casino Royale. Although it was filled with blanks, the powder still seared her skin and left tiny shards of lead embedded into it that caused bleeding. She thought she'd been blinded. It's certainly no easy feat to be shot by a movie star in your debut film performance, but luckily Jacqueline persevered and continued acting despite this very disconcerting start. His Herman Munster getup made Fred Gwynne sweat like crazy. Fred Gwynne's Herman Munster costume was surprisingly uncomfortable, weighing him down and causing unbearable heat. In an effort to preserve his health and comfort, a stagehand would constantly blow cool air into the costume with an air compressor between scenes. Despite their best efforts, sweat caused Fred to lose weight on set, showcasing how hot it must have been. The L was Penny Marshall's trick to remind viewers of Laverne's name. Laverne and Shirley can be hard to tell apart for viewers tuning into the show, so Penny Marshall came up with a creative wardrobe choice, adorning her clothing with an L monogram. This way, viewers are reminded that she's Laverne and Cindy Williams is Shirley, which saves writers from having to craft clunky dialogue every episode. Mary Tyler Moore wore a wig to distance herself from her Dick Van Dyke Show character. To prevent viewers from confusing her with Laura Petrie, the character she portrayed in the Dick Van Dyke Show, the producers of the Mary Tyler Moore Show insisted that Mary wore a large, dark wig at the beginning of each episode. Although this was done as a precautionary measure to distinguish between her two roles, it eventually became unnecessary. No one seemed to be bothered, and soon enough, Moore's wig disappeared after just one season. MGM wanted Shirley Temple to play Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz. MGM had their sights set on Shirley Temple, a much bigger star than Judy Garland, to play Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz. To make this happen, 20th Century Fox was offered Clark Gable and Jean Harlow in trade, but fate would have it that the deal never came into fruition as Harlow passed away at only 26 years old. Subsequently, MGM went with second choice Garland instead, which could explain why not many watch the movie anymore. If they'd gone ahead with their initial plan, then who knows what might have been then. Jennifer O'Neill was isolated during the filming of Summer of 42. Masterfully, Robert Mulligan filmed Summer of 42 in chronological order so that the actors could gradually transform into their characters. To ensure a believable level of awkwardness when they finally encountered Jennifer O'Neill, he kept the teenage boys away from her during production. Despite being somewhat isolated on set, this method produced remarkable results. One can see how it paid off as soon as she appears in frame. Which is which? Anne Francis and her Twilight Zone mannequin double. In 1960, Anne Francis starred in a thrilling episode of The Twilight Zone. She played the role of a woman who enters an eerie department store and comes out as a mannequin. For this to come alive on screen, they needed both the real actress, Miss Francis, and also an exact replica that was clearly distinguishable up close. If you look closely enough at their eyes or hands, you can tell them apart easily. Shown alongside each other, here's the prop and Miss Francis for comparison. James Milholland's befuddled reaction speaks volumes about how indistinguishable they are from one another. Strange Brew is based on Shakespeare's Hamlet. In Shakespeare's classic tragedy Hamlet, a Danish prince is heartbroken to find that his beloved father has been killed and his mother has married the murderer, none other than her own brother. However, in Strange Brew, Dave Thomas and Rick Moranis created an amusing homage. Even though the plot may not be precisely identical with its namesake, there are unmistakable parallels between them. To drive this point home further, they decided to christen the story's key brewery Elsinore Brewery, hinting at their source of inspiration. Max Headroom won an award for high-tech effects, but there were none. The mystery behind Max Headroom, who appeared to be a computer-generated TV host, was that he wasn't actually generated by any technology. Actor Matt Frewer's look as the character was achieved from encasing him in a suit and tie shell combined with makeup applications, which gave his skin an almost artificial appearance. In 1986, the show won the British Academy of Film and Television Arts (BAFTA) awards for graphics without relying on graphic effects, apart from some lines in the background. Richard Dreyfuss spends most of American Graffiti trying to find Suzanne Summers. In American Graffiti, the graduating high school senior, Kurt, Richard Dreyfuss, is mesmerized when he spots a gorgeous blonde woman driving by in a white Ford Thunderbird. Little did viewers know at the time, and even after its release, that this fleeting vision of beauty was portrayed by none other than Suzanne Summers. When American Graffiti premiered in 1973, she wasn't well known whatsoever. As it turns out, her brief role as Blonde in T-Bird marked Summers' very first on-screen appearance with credits. It wouldn't take long for audiences to fall head over heels for the up-and-coming star. Soon enough, they'd be tuning into ABC weeknights to catch Three's Company, along with their favorite leading lady, Suzanne Summers. Bob Hogan Crane married Sigra Hilda Valdis, and they had a son, not pictured. In 1965, Bob Crane of Hogan's Heroes began a romantic relationship with one of his co-stars, Cynthia Lynn. However, after the first season ended and Patricia Olson, stage name Sigrid Valdis, took over Lynn's role as Colonel Klink's secretary Helga in her stead, love bloomed between them instead. After divorcing his wife of 2 decades that same year, Crane proposed to Olson and they welcomed their son Scott into the world in 1971. Jeannie was trapped in a bottle that originally held Jim Beam whiskey. Barbara Eden's character, Jeannie, from the iconic sitcom I Dream of Jeannie, was seemingly kept in a mysterious and exotic bottle. In actuality, however, that container could be purchased for only $5.99 at any local liquor store. The item of choice happened to be the 1964 special edition Christmas decanter sold by Jim Beam. The xenomorph in Alien was Nigerian actor Bolaji Badejo's only film role. While frequenting a pub in Soho, London, an art student from Nigeria named Bolaji Badejo was seen by Ridley Scott's casting team. His lanky, 6'10" stature and long legs made him the ideal candidate to play the creature for Scott's iconic sci-fi horror film Alien. Thanks to Badejo's unforgettable performance as the xenomorph, which undoubtedly contributed significantly to Alien's success as a masterpiece of cinema, he never acted again after that. There's a dead actress in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Keep your eyes peeled while watching The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. You may come across a deceased body in one particular scene. Allegedly, it's neither an actor nor a dummy. This corpse was said to be that of a Spanish actress who wished to act even in death. Talk about dedication. Barry White wrote Doin' the Banana Split. The band, the Banana Splits, composed of 4 costumed actors portraying anthropomorphic animals, were famous for their hit TV show, The Banana Splits Adventure Hour. Soul singer Barry White composed the song Doin' the Banana Split. However, it was sung by Drooper, a lion, with much of the lead vocal work done by Ricky Lancelotti, not Barry himself. Bones, Kirk, and Spock pretend to shave with their communicators between takes on Star Trek. Star Trek may not be known for its comedic nature, but it certainly warrants a few chuckles. Take the communicators, for example. During every episode of the original series, Next Generation, and Voyager, these props looked like electric razors. Who can blame William Shatner and his shipmates if they shared a laugh at the end of their long day on set? Not us. Kojak sucked a lollipop because Telly Savalas was trying to quit smoking. Telly Savalas made his signature lollipop-sucking detective Kojak memorable with the iconic and beloved catchphrase, "Who loves you, baby?" His on-screen presence was marked by his bald pate as well. But what led to him sucking a lollipop? Interesting enough, it was an effort to quit smoking. While he could still be seen puffing cigarettes during the show's run, the strategy only worked partially, even though it remains one of Kojak's most recognizable trademarks.